They made some big changes to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Today I want to look at some of those things and actually see how much of a difference it really makes in game. Now, keep in mind, this is an asymmetrical horror game. So at the end of the day, you want it to be balanced enough where killers and victims are having a good time. But at the end of the day, first of all, it's asymmetrical, so naturally it's going to be imbalanced. But also, any horror game or movie tends to lean towards the killers. They have the advantage. And to me, that's how it should feel in the game as well. You want the killers to feel like they're more powerful, not the other way around. So I'd love to hear from y'all after the video. Let me know if these things made a big difference to y'all in game, or if you think there's some additional things they need to change. If you like what I do, consider subscribing and hit your notifications. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about one of the biggest things they fixed here, and that's Sissy. So essentially, every time she hits you, she would poison you. And this was obviously a problem. You could run rubber legs, and that would make it even worse for the victim that you were attacking. And so now they've taken that away. You can still run Special Blend, which will affect her stamina, and it will give her a poisonous attack. But from what I understand, it won't work on the first stab. It will work on the next strike that she imposes. And then you can also run rubber legs too, which will affect the mobility of that victim that you've poisoned. It also seems like they fixed her stamina. You know, before she could slice you like 10 times, and before she would run out of stamina. Now it seems like it's more in line with the other killers. So Sissy's been a problem for a while, and they have fixed that. And I played with Sissy a little bit today. And again, the biggest thing I noticed was actually the stamina decrease. And again, to me, as somebody plays the victims more than I do the killers, I still appreciate that, because anytime I played with Sissy before, it felt slightly unfair being able to poison with every single slash, and if you run rubber legs, and then the fact that she can slice you like 10 times. So this is definitely a positive change. Now, another big change that they've made here, and this one is really important, I think. If you think about Slaughterhouse, until you get to the battery exit and the generator exit, that whole area right there feels really condensed. There's a lot of bushes. So they've moved the fuse box location that was to the left of the main slaughterhouse door. You could go through the animal pen after coming out of the basement, after you've grabbed your fuse, and literally it's right there. And then you just come back down those bushes, go through the slit in the door, you go back down to the basement, and you're there, right? And so they've moved that over towards the valve exit, that little shed right there. That's a new spawn location for the fuse box. They've also moved the valve handles. So those two were like on the side of the animal pen over there, where there's bushes right there. And then all you got to do is go down to the basement and then obviously come back up once the valve opens. And so it was really a problem. And again, if you think about that map, it's so condensed. You have bushes everywhere. If you don't have these things in high traffic areas, it makes it really easy. And before you even know what's going on, basement doors open or valve starts going off, the pressure valve, it was a problem. So I'm really glad they fixed it. I found the valve handles over in that same shed I was talking about near the actual exit. And then I also found it on the side of the slaughterhouse door over there. So it's going to make you think a little bit and kind of stretch the game out more, where you got to kind of work your way around towards the valve exit. That, I think, is the best strategy in this game. Not make it impossible where victims, can never escape, but make it a lot harder and make you have to think as a victim, all right, I need to play this a little bit more stealthy, go from bush to bush. That's the way I like to play this game anyways. Even as quick as some of these matches can be, I hate going through these matches that quick. It's just not a lot of fun. I like some of these changes they've made. So they've also lowered the percentage or chance that you have of keeping a bone scrap with Efficient Grappler and Efficient Backstabber perk. So they've lowered those quite a bit. So again, it's one of those things like they took the bone scrap piles and moved them from like unlimited down to 3 per pile. And now you have an even lower chance of actually keeping that bone scrap once it's been used now as well. And that's pretty significant. Being able to stun lock Leatherface, and then you have Leland on top of that, hitting him every 20 seconds, it was a serious problem. Here's another big one, and I can already hear some of the comments, oh God, this guy's a killer main. I'm actually not, but I will kind of sum some of these things up for y'all. But they've also affected the base cooldown for Connie and Leland. For Leland, this works well. I think affecting his ability and making it to where you can only use his perk when it's absolutely necessary, I believe is the best way to go. For Connie, though, most of the time when I play as Connie, I only use that ability really one time. So I think it's probably going to be as good as it's going to get with her. Obviously, it does affect her stamina as well, and there's ways to counter that. But I think it's about as good as it's going to get for her unless they just change her ability altogether. They've also made a slight change to the beginning minigame when you get out of the restraints. It takes a few more taps, but again, you can set it to where your stealth and your strength is high enough where it really won't make that big of a difference. So they made one change that affects killers. Everything else affects victims. Now, I am a victim main, if you will, and I enjoy playing in that role. I think it's more suspenseful, and I just enjoy it. But up until this point, once everybody learned the maps, it hasn't been like that. It's been super quick matches, teabagging people because you can just get away with a lot more playing as the victim. And again, in asymmetrical horror, it should always favor the killers slightly. And I don't want to see these things so out of balance that it's just impossible to even play as anything but the killer because, again, you need killers, you need people playing as killers, and people playing as victims for this game to work. So it has to be fun for everybody. But I think stretching these things out, moving these locations, and making you think more about the strategy that you're going to take or the route you're going to take is definitely beneficial to the game altogether. Now, I have some more ideas and things that I think will really help, again, make this as balanced as it can be while still favoring the killers. I'm going to make another video this week, so stay tuned for that. I'd love to hear some more ideas from y'all. Some of these things I'm taking and actually putting them in the video that I'm making later this week. Big thanks to you guys. If you like what I do, again, consider subscribing and check out one of these other videos where I went through all of the things you may have missed in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. See you on the next one, and as always, hold 'em down.